Okay, while I'm waiting for the computer to restart, I'm going to do a quick video to say this is the biggest scam that local New South Wales police have not taken serious for 8 years. And I'm going to name and shame an organisation first called the Mind Dog Organisation. So the Mind Dog Organisation was told by me when I trained my dog to be a service dog because I've got lactic acidosis and chronic fatigue. They wanted to twist it and make it something that suited their organisation. Now, they were told this, and I've even got a screenshot of a text message where I actually said that to them. It's a scam. This is the biggest scam that New South Wales police don't take it seriously. A magistrate better take it seriously, I can tell you now. So I have said since 2015, let me just log on a computer because I want to show some photos here. Since 2015, I started trying to get some wrong information that was said about me corrected. So in 2015, after I separated again, look, I separated with Giovanni back in 2011, to be honest, so it's no big deal. I was sick of the lies. I actually found out that there was a lot more things that was said to George Jacobs and some other people that was just beyond ridiculous. So apparently he was telling people so he could get away with... So look, Giovanni and I, we met to give a quick rundown, we met with Jonathan Craig, whatever because apparently his name was Jonathan Craig when he lived in Adelaide. He changed it to Giovanni when he lived in Sydney. I don't know. I don't care. He's my ex-partner. I don't care. What I care about is where I've been lied about since 2009. If you do a background check on him and have a look at his finances, when I met him, you'll see why he started these lies. So he moved into my place in 2009 and I was busy studying and working. Yes, I was off work recovering from injuries I had, so I was mugged on my way home from work. But I kept telling people the only issues that was causing any trouble in my life was my mother with her scheming. As soon as I got mugged on my way home from work, so November 30th, 2007, I got mugged on my way home from work and I was like, oh, well, I got mugged. That's honestly how I thought about it. Was, oh, well, I got mugged when I'll recover and get back to work. That's exactly what I thought about it. The problem is in Australia, we've got a massive big Medicare scam when too many organisations like social workers, disability groups and organisations, they want to jump in on making money off someone with a health injury. It's a scam. And this was massive since November 30th, 2007. So, yeah, I got mugged. And majority of the damage was done to my left eye. That had to be rechecked in a couple of years. So my left eye and chronic fatigue. Chronic fatigue, chronic migraines, and so forth. That started damage to my back. But look, it wasn't anything that, just recovery and so forth, which is what I was doing. There was no mental health issue with that. I lived my life in the city, was happily doing so. Giovanni comes along and then starts telling people, oh, he's afraid to leave his house and all this shit. Look, none of that was true. And this all started after I also seroconverted with meningitis in 2010. So I had a really bad run with health problems, massive bad run. And the meningitis and what I went through, that just concreted me to have a disorder or disability of chronic fatigue for the rest of my life. Other, internal health problems for the rest of my life. So with that, the chronic fatigue is always going to be there. So I have good weeks and bad weeks. So when my body needs the rest, I rest. And that's what I was telling these organisations. These social workers that are still not arrested in New South Wales Police, okay, I will say I was wrong here when trying to catch them out from 2016 to 2018 when I was putting a bit of an acting scene on to be a smartass. None of that was true. So I just want to get these women arrested. These ones that just keep going and have cost me over 100,000, my assets, my belongings, and my living home environment in Sydney, I want them arrested. I want their organisations defunded from the government. I want to see them shut down, and I want them arrested. And I want a magistrate to start doing this. Listen to me with what I'm saying because this is ridiculous. So with my dog Baxter, I trained him for a service dog because I was moving to America. I applied for a green card, started my application back in 2011, submitted in 2012. It was a 2-year process to go through. Had my interview in August, let me see how good my memory is. I'm sure it was around the 18th of August back in 2014. And because of some health conditions, and I thought, in America, they're more intelligent than Australia. They, like if you have asthma or another health condition or cancer or anything, they say, train your dog for a service dog. And I'll tell you why. Having your dog actually does help with physical health injuries. It makes you feel better. It really does. So if you feel really sick and fatigued like I do, having my dog with me just makes me feel better. It's this sort of natural sort of effect of making you recover faster. But it was nothing to do with me being afraid of people. And that's what these organisations wanted to scam some government-funded money and say, oh, here's another one. Let's make the numbers up, which is what they've done. So, the more they can say there's more people like this in the world, the more their disability or organisations get funded. This is true. So none of that was true. I ended up having my life harassed that caused an exacerbation of those physical health injuries because these people didn't let me rest. I'm like, you've got wrong information. Leave me alone. They didn't, which does make New South Wales Police liable for the damages because New South Wales Police had a duty of care to arrest them, even if there's some sweet old lady social worker working for a disability organisation. They're still breaking the law. I don't care if she's never had a parking ticket her entire life. Put fucking handcuffs on that bitch and put her in a paddy wagon and arrest her. Like they should be. That's what should be happening. So I just went through this for years. Giovanni, now he was told in 2016, go and tell the truth. Because there's a lot of other things that happened as well. I'm going to try and jump onto some of my documents just uploaded from my... let me just log on to my Google Drive. Hang on. I might have it online there. So basically, with all this going on, there was... Every time Giovanni wanted to take time off work for his own... Giovanni goes and uses drugs. I knew that when I met him. I said, look... I've got a zero tolerance, which I do. I don't know how I get labelled as being a drug user or a drinker. It must be the beard. But I've barely drunk an alcohol in my life. I've always followed the path that my body's my temple, and I've had enough health problems that I don't want to put anything in it. The most bad thing I ever put in my body would be coffee, if you could classify that. Occasionally, I like to smoke cigars and cigarettes and good tobacco at a cigar lounge or Arabic pipe, at Arabic cafe. I've got my own shishas and hookahs and so forth with the Arabic pipe, a gilly. And that's it. That's the only bad thing I've ever put in my body. Never been a drug user, but in the last 8 years I got accused of being a crystal meth user. This was for people's own benefit and gain. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. And I'm there going to Giovanni, you use it so you can get... And I didn't care. I said to him, you want to keep lies about me, I'll tell some truth about you. Giovanni gets fisted, which is why we never had a good sex life. I'm not into that. So he likes getting fisted, and to get fisted, he has to use crystal meth. Now, I said so many times, Giovanni, go and tell my family the truth. So he's always been a constant crystal meth user since he was in Adelaide, and no one can tell. I couldn't even tell until I started realising that every time he was calling people crying and making up these bullshit stories about me, he was coming down from crystal meth. So that's when I started realising, going, oh, okay. And I got wind of this back in 2011. That was a situation that went on. 2009, he was using it all the time. Then I was overseas in 2013, and he told George Jacobs and his work colleagues and his family and Nazana from work and Alice Dan, or Gaynor Dan, whatever she calls herself, and this other one, Anna Marie, and she was crying all the time. Oh, it's terrible. I'm sorry, I can't catch up with you for Mardi Gras bullshit. He was having a sex party in my apartment. I can't catch up. I've got to be at home with Justin. You know what he's like. He won't leave the house unless I'm here. I was in America. I was in America and Mexico. I wasn't in the country. He actually completely lied. He rang Dr. George Jacobs, asked for a medical certificate because Justin's been suicidal. There's the other lie. So here's the other lie I've been trying to get corrected for years. I'm like, I've never been suicidal. I've never even threatened suicide. This was so Giovanni could get medical certificates. And I said, that's it, mate. You were told in 2016, go back and tell the truth. This is damaging my life and you don't want to tell the truth. You're getting me... So I end up getting monitored and surveillance because of all these lies. And this guy got he got a job out of it. He got ahead. I'm like, no, I'm sorry. This is not going to stop. You've had my life harassed for 8 years. These arseholes still do it to date. I'll be walking my dog and some dickheads with these, because he's afraid of people. Oh, is he timid to people? No. And if I ever looked that way, it's because I was on prednisone or my lactic acid levels were high. I've got high lactic acid levels and carotene problems in my blood at times. Other than that, I suffer from asthma and get bad breathing problems. There's a logical explanation for it. Especially through, I hate bloody Australia for fucking nature. Give me New York City any day. But I get bad breathing problems. I have, like, my breathing problems got worse in 2005 after a stint of being on prednisone for my skin problems. So there we go. I've always been on and off prednisone. Prednisone for skin problems ended up causing pneumonia in 2005. And I had my asthma retested then. I've been on it. I've diagnosed with asthma for a very long time. Bad asthma and bad asthma attacks. An idiot started going, oh, you've got, what was it? I love this one. Oh, you get panic attacks. I'm like, I've never had a fucking panic attack in my life. What bullshit's this? And it was an asthma attack. I'm like, mate, this is where mental health need to be defunded from the government. They're making up stories just to make money here. This is fraud. It's the biggest scam I've ever seen. So I do get bad asthma attacks. Oh, God, especially in summer. I'm funny. I'm always fine in New York. It must just be a city that works for me. Even my dog's better in New York. It just works. But Jesus Christ, like breathing problems and so forth since then. And then in, was it 2016, 2015? Around that time, I was on huge quantities of, 2014 to God knows how long until I stopped. I was on massive quantities of prednisone during that period of time. It was terrible because I actually had to make an entry to America in December 2014. And I was on huge quantities of prednisone and other stuff because of health problems and trying to maintain what prednisone was doing to my weight, which is terrible. So the whole thing was causing, effects, so adverse effects towards each other. Anyway, I ended up getting bloody pneumonia again, which was caused from prednisone. I've got documents that say, pneumonia caused from prednisone. Anyway, so, and then the lactic acid levels. I was on immunoglobulin to fix that, and it did. We've got no trouble with that. I don't have any trouble with being around people or being in the city. I've lived in the city most of my life. This is ridiculous. So and I'm going off on a tangent here, but by 8 years to get this, I still to date, even the fuckwits in this building, I still to date have to put up with the same bullshit lie that I tried to have corrected since 2015. I kid you not, it went from Australia to America to costing me over 100,000 in damages to these social working fucking assholes. Don't back off. And it's like, you wonder why I played a prank on you dickheads in Audi. But Audi, Coles and IGA back from 2016 to 2018. It's like, you wonder why I was walking around the streets playing a prank on you dickheads. You were told by me you've got wrong information. Now fuck off, I'm busy living my life. I asked my family in 2015, I asked my deadbeat mother, and she's a lowlife. She really is. If she honestly took a lie about me to see if she could benefit for it for herself. She wanted to try and benefit for it. And then she knew that people were talking about her second husband and her second husband's son, which they're deadbeat drug users. Mark Rackley, my mother said, I really don't know him, but I can tell you this, I know they're drug users, alcoholics, cannabis smokers. I have nothing to do with it. My dad's beautiful, Mark Fleming. My dad's family beautiful. My mum, to look at that and think, you want to affiliate with that family, which she left him because of it back in 1994. But I've actually there's a record at New South Wales Police with me where I'm actually affiliated with them. I'm like, mate, I don't even know them. So, and they won't even, there's another thing. They won't even remove it. I'm like, but every time someone types in my name now, Justin Fleming, since 2008, you've got me known as Rackley and I'm not. And this could only come from somewhere who must know my mother's second husband and his son. So they've obviously seen me with my mother and drawn a conclusion. All this has done 8 years of damage, and again, costing over 100,000, my car, my assets, my belongings. More importantly, my living home environment where the real estate agent should be sued for it. Because the real estate agent should be telling these people, right, you're breaking privacy laws, let alone you're breaking human rights laws. If you don't stop, we're going to press charges against, not meaning me, meaning the arseholes which actually harassed my life in my living home environment. So I got my living home environment harassed. The real estate agent should have turned around to these people and said, what you're doing is illegal to Justin. If you don't stop, we'll press charges against you for doing that to Justin. So the real estate agent should be getting sued for it. I should be getting reimbursed every cent I've paid during this privacy invasion. Anyway, I'm going to jump onto something else here, so the documents to do with Giovanni, because it's just opened up into my Google Drive. Where is it? Fraud. So it's what I was saying to people. Well, he actually was saying this bullshit for a reason. He committed fraud and he needed to get away with it. Anyway, I've already uploaded that. committed fraud, and he committed forgery. That's my signature. So that's 11 years jail for forging someone's signature. Now, these people want to keep going, then Giovanni better get put in jail for 11 years for forgery, let alone the fraud. So I've never been a drug user. Giovanni has his entire life. He has since Adelaide. There's actually, let me jump in and get the records of. So during 2015 to 2018, when I was, and this is why I thought I've got to hold off before I move to America, plus the stuff I want to do in Sydney before I actually do the move. You know, I wasn't in a hurry to move. Once I got the green card, I thought, okay, it took me 2 years to get it. I'm not going to put my life on hold in Sydney once I get it, because it was unknown if I'll get it or not. So I thought, okay, now I've got it. It gives me some time to think what I'm going to do, to be prepared to move to America, and be there to make sure I'm there before the renewal. So it's a 10-year renewal in 2024. Except in 2015 onwards, I was lied about, and my life got destroyed. Even in America, you're trying to get this stuff resolved. Okay, here's my toxicology reports, which there is lots. Okay, I'm just going to do it really quickly. Okay, that's the last one. There should be, that's issue here. No, I want the one for, they did a one for 2015. So I just got the doctor to do a report, just abbreviate it from every result I've had from 2015 to 2018, and give me if anything ever came back positive, which something did come back positive. Benzodiazepine, was it? Here it is here. Benzodiazepine, a sleeping pill that I never took. Anyway, so I've never been a drug user, but this is why I said so. Whoever started this scam about me did it for, it's a scam. The whole thing is a scam. The whole last year's, every single feed of wrong information about me in the last 8 years is a scam, from accusing me of being suicidal when I've never been suicidal ever in my entire life. I've never threatened suicide. By accusing me of being, depressed or whatever. Oh, he's not going to cope after his nan dies. Yeah, well, these are projections that were causing me damage. Like, the only thing that you would ever have seen that wasn't me acting to get it back at arseholes that were surveillancing me, that may have been triggered off, was a period of time when I was on the prednisone. There was a time when I said to Giovanni, I said, I swear, I'm almost certain, when I left him, I had a couple of fuck buddy flings, and I said, I swear, this weird Peter Fry that approached me, who knew this other deadbeat guy. I don't know these people, so I don't affiliate me with them. Look, I said to Giovanni, I swear he drugged me on G, on a date rape drug. I swear I was getting drugged on a date rape drug because it makes you horny without knowing. And that was during a period of time from 2016 to 2018 as well. It was really weird. And I swear Mark Hanna did it as well. And I kept saying this to Giovanni, and he was like, I said, no, it's not. There's some weird stuff going on. And especially during a period of time where I know I'm getting surveillanced, and because I knew I was getting surveillanced. And I'm like, so these people, if they're not part of that, they're trying to make me look like a character I'm not while I'm getting surveillanced. I said that. I actually brought that up. I said they're trying to make me look like a character of a person that I'm not while I'm getting surveillanced. And Giovanni didn't take it seriously. But then, like I said, Giovanni, he's involved with those people. He's involved with the Stephanie DeSalis of the world and the Brett Aikenheads of the world and who they affiliate with. That's him. He won't be seen with in public, but that's what he does. Every weekend, he used to be with those types of people. Not me. So there's a lot that should be brought up in front of a magistrate. Local police aren't going to do anything. They're piss-weak bullshit. They've judged the book by its cover, upset my life, cost me a fortune in 2 countries. And so I'm just going to jump onto, actually it might be easier if I jump onto the email Uncle Tony sent me with my photos. I'm going to show, because there was another thing that was brought up. Someone then tried to say, I was molested and stuff. I dye my hair black and this shit. My skin's always been dark in colour. I'm actually a lot paler than I've ever been, and that's in the last 8 years with my iron levels. They dropped below 10%. I'm naturally like my dad's father. Not exactly like him, because Dad's father had thick, black, frizzy, untamable hair to the day he died, and he was darker skinned. Let me show a photo. Oh, here we go. I've got one here. So if you actually knew who I'm related to, then you will stop there. That's my dad's father, Stanley Fleming, and that's my dad's mother, Ruby Jean Hill. All right. That's why I look the way I do. So I've got these same eyebrows, although I actually have my eyebrows lasered to have, so he's got big bushy one eyebrow. I did. You can see that when I'm in my teens and 20s. When I went into my 30s, I actually had them lasered. I used to wax them all the time anyway. So I always used to wax my eyebrows. And I had them lasered so I could have two eyebrows instead of one. Because I always had one eyebrow. And we get it waxed. Here we go. Here's another one of Stanley. So I don't dye my hair black. My hair is naturally near black. I've never been molested. There is no, then I'd like to know what stories Carol's making up now, because I've heard ones over the years, and I'll be very, her and her sisters, I would say this, what scam are they up to this time? Local New South Wales police, they don't do anything towards women. And my mother and her sisters are the biggest scammers you would ever meet, because they know this. They know that they're not going to get charged. They're entitled. They're entitled women that were spoiled by their mother, never disciplined. If you want to have a look at people what look like that were never disciplined, have a look at my mother and her two sisters. Then have a look at Christy Childs. Christy Childs said to me in around July 2015, she reckons she was molested. I'm like, oh, what scam is she? So Christy Childs now has a job at House of No Steps. She's a pub wench. All she ever did was pour beers for a living in a country town pub with about 10 people on its busiest night. That's what her job was. She went from that to doing social work and working for House of No Steps. Her mother's the same. Her mother's this drunken loser. Her mother's son, Shane Childs, is the blonde one that used to hang out with his uncle, his mother's brother. It was Shane Childs that grew up in Housing Commission and had no father figure. Well, his dad lives in Rockley or Bathurst, where Shane's born. It was Shane Childs that's born and raised in wildlife and outback type behaviour. I rode horses for sport. Shane's a country hick, basically. So is his dad. So different people. So we're talking, like I say, just because I'm related to him doesn't mean we have the same life. I can tell you now. And it's my mother's side, gross. So, and I've bring that up because it was Shane Childs and Daniel Rackley, which these people keep coming up to in the last 8 years describing as well. I've had people describe thinking it relates to me, going, oh yeah, I know him. He was like this. I'm like, nope, you know Daniel Rackley, Carol's stepson or ex-stepson. Or then we're like, oh no, you know Carol's nephew. I'm like, man, you don't know me. So let's stop these lies, because my mother's scamming, her sisters are scamming, and their daughters are scamming, and there are women in my family that are so entitled and undisciplined. Not one female in my family has ever had to be put through any discipline. They get away with everything. The men are really, well, I was badly disciplined, like really strict disciplined. All the women don't get disciplined in my family. They don't get taught right from wrong. And that's how my family is. And this has gone on for years because my grandfather, Pop Reginald George Purdy, Mum's father, he said, what it is because your nan lost 2 sons before your mum was born. And she was grieving that. And then she was always getting accused of not giving her daughters like enough affection. So she over gave them affection and no discipline. And Pop said, Pop, before even right up to the day he died, we were always telling my nan to control her daughters. They're undisciplined women. They're not disciplined. And you can see that. They have no discipline and they don't know right from wrong. So they will lie about people, which is why I don't believe a word a man has said since 2013. They will lie about men. They will lie about people just to get whatever they want. If it means money for Marianne, or she's seen someone else has got it and she wants it, she'll go to hell and back. They're just little scamming women. So when Chrissy said to me that she reckons she was molested, but she doesn't remember it. She doesn't know if it happened. So she did. Chrissy Childs goes in 2015, oh, I believe I was molested, but I don't know I was. I'm like, what are you talking about, Chrissy? She goes, I'm going to have hypnosis to tell me I was molested. That's what she said. I'm walking around going, fuck, you are a scammer like your mother. My biggest thing was, she's a fucking scammer like her mother. Like, I've watched my sister grow up being exactly like Carol and Marianne. I've watched Christy Childs grow up exactly like her mother, Robin. And I'm going, oh my fucking God, they are scammers. They're scamming disability organisations that they work for. They are the biggest scamming women that you would ever met in your life. as long as they can get a job out of it, as long as they can get money out of it, as long as they can feed their habits, they will scam and lie and kick and scream and, scream, oh, I've been a victim, to high end, when they are not victims, they are predators. They really are. They're just horrible women. Unlike, other people I know, but it's like, you're lying. You're lying and you're scamming. And this is why in the last 8 years it's been so hard for me to get anything told. There's a lot more women than men in my family. And I can't get one person to listen and say, okay, I said in 2015 I've been lied about. The first person I told, and I should never have called because I'm not even close to her, was my mother, and said, I've just been lied about. Giovanni's got his nose out of joint. Brett's got his nose out of joint. This was what was said. It's not true. She didn't want to help me correct it. Instead, she thought she could benefit and gain from it. Now, from that, there was, like I said, then they made up these accusations. Oh, he must dye his hair black. No, I don't. My hair is, since I grew up from being a toddler, my hair is black. Naturally, well, dark brown, near black. It's not as black as what my grandfather's was, I'll tell you now. Or frizzy, but it does go frizzy. I'm very much like the Fleming side. I don't do it deliberately. It's called DNA. Stanley Fleming always had dark skin. It's even written in his military discharge papers about his skin being dark. His complexion's dark. I've said this for years. My mum wants to debate whatever she wants to debate, but she has no idea about anything to do with her first husband's family. Like, my mum would just argue the point just for sake of arguing the point. Or make up stories just because she gets attention. Like, I think it's because these women are ugly. Seriously, they're plain Jane or they're ugly and they've got no decorum about them. So really they couldn't get any decent man if they tried. So they've got to make up stories. I've just watched them lie my entire life, and they do. My poor grandparents had to put up with them. I got away. I want nothing to do with my mother's family. I really want nothing to do with them. I've watched them scam and lie my entire life. Leave me out of it. It's just cost me a fortune in the last 8 years because local police don't know how to arrest women. They want to do it soon because local police can start paying for the damages it's cost me. This is Stanley Fleming. So that's my dad's father. Now, he looks that complexion. We don't know his nationality. We've always said this. He has no place of birth. So he was an orphan. Let me show one quick one of Dad when he was younger. I mean, Dad looks completely different now that he's older. He's almost 70, Dad. But when he was younger, then you'll see where I resemble. I mean, Dad still, I think, has got more of his mother. I'm 44, so I'll show you my father on his 40th, just so you understand. So Dad's in this photo. Dad is 4 years younger than me. So that's Dad on his 40th. He's actually holding Sky, Sheridan Fleming, my younger sister. Yeah, so we all have similar baby hair. It's thin, straight, blonde, and then we lose it and we get this sort of thick, well, I don't have it thick. I wish I did. Sky has it thick, like Dad's side of the family, black, dark, gypsy hair. So you can see Sky had similar hair to me. That's my youngest sister, Sky Sheridan Fleming. She had similar hair to me when she was a baby. I had similar hair to that when I was a baby. Grew up from being about 2-year-old and we start getting this crazy hair like Dad's. That's Dad there on his, Dad looks so different now. That's Dad on his 40th. So I'm 44, that's Dad on his 40th. Now you can see the resemblance. That's Dad's older sister, Auntie Sandra. You can see this, she's passed on. You see the resemblance. Look, there has to be something to settle this. I'm having my life put on hold for now 8 years. There's almost 10 years of my life taken from me because it can't be resolved. It's ridiculous. It makes Australia look ridiculous. We obviously are a barbaric country with no legal system, so don't come here. But it's something that should have been resolved legally. It's something that should be actually resolved publicly so I can exonerate myself. I'm going to find... I had another photo over here when Dad's sisters were young. Oh, here we go. I cropped them out. Oh, God, the old station wagon they had. That's Auntie Linda when she was young. It's been early 90s, I think, this one. And that's Auntie Sandra when she was young. So they're just, yeah. And Sky, I showed you photo of Sky when she was a baby. I've got one when she's older here. Like, it's a joke. It's like these people are here, actually. My twin sister and myself have never looked alike. We've never, and I'll show you this, we've never ever looked alike because we're not identical twins. We're not identical twins. Amanda looks exactly like my mother's side of the family. Exactly. I look more like my dad's side. I'm going to show you here because there's a cousin on my dad's side. So in my families, you might have a Shane on my mum's side, a Shane on my dad's side, a Christy on mum's, another Christy on mum's, another Christy on dad's. Like, just because there's the same first names, there's so many different cousins with the same first name. Shane Johnson, his mother is Sandra Fleming, my dad's sister. Shane Johnson, that's him there. That must be 89 or 90. If you look at him, and he looks like my dad's father, and he looks like his mother. And that's Amanda. Yeah, I'm just going to quickly show that. I hope this uploads. That's Amanda. That's Shane's ex now, Rachel. They've divorced. And that's Shane. He's got the same thing, the black hair. I don't have the black hair. I've got the dark brown, but it does look black. It froze black sometimes, but my pubes, my roots are black. But as my hair, because it's thin, as soon as my hair grows, it starts bleaching. Bleaches for, like, not light, but just goes dark brown. And I'm going to do one more quickly, and I'm going to end it there to say it's a scam. I mean, these people, they really think that they're going to get away with it. Like, they harassed my life for years and it cost me over $100,000. But I'm still putting up within the building I live in here, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. I'm not going to pay to have my life surveillance, thanks. Also, Giovanni can get away with the bullshit lies that he started. No, you can go to jail for 11 years. As long as if this keeps going, like it's gone for 8 years of my life, well, that's me basically being in jail for 8 years, it felt like. Well, put Giovanni in jail for 11 years for forging my signature because he deserves it. He was told in 2016, go back and tell the truth because those lies about me are going to cause a lot of damage to my life. So let me, I want to try and find one of Sky, my half-sister now that she's, because that's her as a baby. It's when I moved at Dad's. That's Dad, Mark Fleming. It's my twin sister Amanda, that's myself, and I must be about 16 there, and that's Sky. December 1995. I thought I had, no, I don't. Actually, no, hang on. Here's us. This one I've just written on, but this is us when I was at a fashion show. That's Sky, myself, that's my younger sister. She straightened her hair. Like, she had it blow dried out for that. It's naturally curly. But you're going to hear a lot of lies, and it's ridiculous. Actually, hang on. Here we go. This is one of Sky's ones. Little pose ones. It's not her naturally. She's posing, but it will show her hair. I think she's got natural highlights. That's Sky Sheridan Fleming, my youngest sister. And she looks like a Fleming. I look like a Fleming. She looks like a Fleming. Christy Ceruni, my cousin on my dad's side, Arnie Linda's daughter, looks like a Fleming. Shane Johnson looks like a Fleming. We all look, you can see the ones that look like a Fleming. I look like a Fleming. I'm a Fleming. I'm not a Rackley. That's Mum's second husband. So the Flemings don't really have any drug alcohol problems. They don't drink. We actually don't drink on the Fleming side. Very rarely would you find a Fleming family member that drinks alcohol or has any drug alcohol problem. Drug and alcohol problems from my mother's second husband's family. And I don't share any DNA, but I actually got harassed by Freemasons to do with that as well. There we go. I did. So Freemason nursing home back years ago in Tamworth or Moomia somewhere, they know my mother's second husband and they know his son, Daniel Rackley. They saw me with my mother and then they drew conclusions that I must have been Mark Rackley's son. Without actually knowing me, I was putting up with bullshit from these nurses and medical health workers. And I kept saying, this is back in 2013, I said, they're talking about Daniel Rackley. These people were talking about Daniel Rackley. So that's another scam that my mum's up to. And the funny thing is, these women think because they work in nursing or they social workers that they're immune to the legal system. So there's a lot of people, and I've watched them in the last 8 years, and they've approached me and so forth, and I'm looking at them going, they honestly do believe that the legal system doesn't apply to them. Even if there's some sweet lady that's never had a parking ticket in her entire life, they honestly believe the legal system doesn't apply to them. They can do whatever they want, even though they were told to fuck off several times. You keep getting lied to. I'm going to leave it there because I need this to upload, and it's already at 35.